So back again, and now let's start. Let me just make this smaller so we can just start adding a few things here, and we can start with the validation. Let me just go to my main.js and let's continue with this. So what I'm going to do is just start with this. Actually looks smaller, so let's in fact was smaller, but let's just continue with this. I think it should be better for you to see it in this font size. So we're going to create three constants, of course, using useState to handle the state. So the first one is going to get the post and the setter of the post. And this is going to be the default is going to be just an empty array. The loading and set loading, okay, is going to be just an empty string, although we can set it to false, and it's busy, and set is busy to false. I can't remember what loading and set loading is doing, but we will see. So we're going to add the validation. So let's say constant. Let's add an object there and say useForm. Okay, so this will initialize our form, and we can add here a few things. So let's add what we need: the register, which is going to register the input. So the useForm hook is going to be able to get the information from that. Then the handle submit, which is going to allow us to handle the submission of the form, so we can get the error messages, the errors, or I mean the information here, and the errors. And let's just add these ones first for the first two inputs. Yeah, let's do that. So let's just add this function. I'm just going to copy this and paste it, because this is not something about the useForm. This is the get all posts, which is going to allow us to get all the posts from Firebase. So we're going to run this await for all the posts. If we catch an error, we're going to stop there. If not, then we're going to return something in the post array, and then we're going to just loop through that to those documents using for each, and return the posts and set this underscore posts to have the ID and the data of that post. Then we're going to set the state of those of the posts we have here on line 6 to the post we are receiving from Firebase. Okay, then we can use this, the use effect. Let me just copy that and paste it. So the use effect, okay, we can console the errors there, but that is not going to work. Add errors into the array. Okay, we can add the errors there, but yeah, I'm going to check that in a second. Okay, I just added that in order to show you something, but let's just say use effect and this. The functionality of get post, which is going to retrieve us all the posts. So far so good. Okay, now I'm going to add a React fragment. Oh, sorry, I'm here and I shouldn't be here. Okay, that is not it. Let's just remove all that and paste it in the main. Okay, for some reason it didn't. Okay, copy that and paste it in the main. So everything should go in the main. Sorry guys, I just didn't realize I had this thing open. So I should close this and we should continue on this one. And we should still see the form validation. Okay, so everything is the same thing. The only thing is that I'm going to add here a div with class name container. So the first one, okay, I didn't want to do that. The first one is going to be the form, just a regular form, and let me just, okay, let's not do that. Let me just get this. I'm a container, and that is the form, and this should be, yep, this should go here. So let's just move that a little bit. Terminal, sorry, what the hell is going on? So view, sorry, toggle word wrap, fucking trot. So okay, we're going to loop using map through the post in the state and add a div with the key of the post being the post ID, and the a div with a class name of cover with the style as the background using the cover image that we have. Okay, so that is only the only thing that we are going to display, a div with a div inside which contains a background image that is the post cover that we have defined for that post. So this should actually return something. And you can see it returns what we had or what we have in the database. Okay, the form is here, it's taking that space, but we don't have anything there. So let's just continue with that and set a simple form. Okay, so let's say on submit. We're going to say handle submit, which we're going to define in a second. And we will need to pass the on submit. So let me just go to my, where the hell is that? Okay, so the handle submit is coming from the use form. Okay, you can see that. And inside we pass the function that we want to run. So in this case, let's just add it below. So let's add just this use form, user form, no, use form. No, sorry, React form. I know it's in all caps, but let's just grab this and paste it. So we can add everything inside this end of React form. Okay, so everything is going to go inside this, so we don't get any conflicts in our heads mainly. So constant on submit, which is the function that I'm going to run, and handle submit is going to take that and say, okay, when we submit the form, you're going to run this new function, and data is going to be passed to that, and we're going to say set is busy. Let's just add it right away to true, because we're sending the data, and we're just going to set is busy because we're going to disable the form. Add post still, this is still not there, so let's say console.log. So data, what it's going to have is the information of the form. Okay, so now let's add some stuff here. So okay, we will add that in a second. So let me add a label with the post title, and let's type the input. So this is going to be the same for the rest inputs. So name, well, not the same, but it's the same structure, but not the same information. Name title, the reference is going to have this register. So this way we're going to tell the use form hook what it needs to check for this specific input. So I didn't close that. Let's close that one. So now we say register. No, sorry, no, register, no. We just check require, sorry, require. It even has the IntelliSense and true. So we're going to set this as required. So let's see how the hell this is looking. Okay, we don't have the input, that's why it doesn't let me just remove that. It's not going to say anything. Also, we are not rendering the error, so let's first check this and title, and let me just grab the label for the next one. Okay, and this next one is a text area, not test but text. Okay, and we do the same. We say name, content, the reference is going to be equals to the register. For this we say required true, max length, then we need to pass an object again. Okay, so this is kind of weird, and say the value of that. This is going to be for the max length. We're going to check for the value of 12 at this point, and the message, we can add a message here, is going to say too big, something like that. Okay, and that's all. So let me just go to cover, add a cover, and add the input. Input, type file, name, cover, and say a reference register, and again it's going to be true. Okay, so this should be sorry, this is not it. Register, this is a function or a method, and required true. Nice. So I didn't close the input. Let me just close that one, and below we're going to add the submit. Let's copy that and paste it. Okay, so disable is busy. If is busy is true, then disable attribute is going to be set. If not, then we're going to remove that, so we don't send a double request there. Okay, so you can see we have this, and we can click this, and it's not showing anything because we're not displaying the errors. Okay, but let me just go to my where the hell is that? Let me just check. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, I should be able to console log the errors here. Let's see if that works. And you can see we have, let me just clear that and clear again. It's going to do a double render for some reason, but this is not a big deal. So it's the same one. So let's say title, you can see it has the type required, so this is the error. Okay, but we're not displaying anything, so if I add something, it's going to render again, but you can see that the title is not. And again, I say for some reason, maybe this is a problem in this version. For some reason, it's rendering twice, although it shouldn't, but well, let's just keep it like that. And if I add something to content, then you can see only cover is set. And if I type too much, then content returns with the error of type max length. Okay. But how we are going to add those errors, or how we are going to display those errors? So let me just move down and say set is busy. Okay, we're going to handle the submit later. Okay, so let's just, that is not what I wanted. Let me just grab all this if my mouse wants to get it. Okay, so for this post title, we're going to do this. Let me just type it, since this is the thing that we're looking at. So errors, that title, you can see that we have the errors, and remember that errors is coming from this, okay, useForm. So errors, that title, and where is my, okay, and we can add a paragraph here with class name errors, since it's already in the CSS. It's not errors, it's error. And we can say post title is required. Save that, and let's go back, submit, and you can see the error is there, and when we type, it's going to remove that error. Okay. So you can see we have multiple errors. In this case, you can trigger multiple errors, the required and the max length. Of course, not in the same at the same time, but we can check for these two errors. What we need to do is just the same thing as we did here. Let me just type another one so you can see errors, that content. Remember that we add the name, so we can just start getting the name, and we don't have to do crazy stuff there. So if I say errors content is going to return us an object, and we will need actually to check the type of that. So let's say errors that content, that type, meaning if we have an error content and we have a type inside that error of required, then we're going to output the class name, paragraph with class name error, and it's going to be post content is required. Okay, but so far we are only adding our errors. Okay, but we have defined one error, so let's just add that, save that, and let's see, submit. Okay, it took it a bit, and you can see content is required. But what I mean, if we have a length that it shouldn't be allowed, because for that length we actually have a message defined. So how we get that? Then we're going to say, it's actually the same thing, errors that content, and this is a different error type, errors that content that type equals, not like that, that's not an equals, max length. Okay, so if that error is type max length, then we're going to say a paragraph with class name of error, and here we add some interpolation and say errors that content that message. This is how we get that the message property of that specific validator. Okay, so we save that and we go inside our form. So let's say this, and if I go over the limit, it's going to say too big. Okay, so far so good. But now let's choose a file. It's taking a bit to open, and let me choose a new file, maybe a GIF. Open. Okay, and this is going to be a fine. Okay, so I actually didn't test because I don't have the console. So let's just actually, I still have this crap open. I should still leave that open though. Let me just get the let's just do the same thing. Okay, this is over here. Okay, that should be fine. So let's actually get the errors. We already have the required error, so let's say errors that cover, and no, it's not like this. We're just going to set a paragraph like we did here. Let's actually copy this and say post cover is required. So this should show us the error of the cover. As you can see, post cover is required. But okay, so far so good, right? We can test the validation of the post title and the content, and if we go over the limit, we get an error too. But what if we want to set a MIME type restriction for this post cover? Okay, so right now we can add GIF, PNG, JPEG, whatever into this form. But what if we want to add a restriction? So let's actually yeah, yes, let's leave it like this. Actually, I was going to add the functionality to add the information. Okay, let's do this. We already have the everything set up, and this should return us the data. Oh no, because we don't have this one. Okay, so let me just grab a new image, something that we might not have. So we still are not going to upload anything. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, this one. Okay, if I click submit, this is what is going to return us: the content and the cover, which is the file, okay, with the name and all the information it has by default, and the title. Okay, so we are receiving all that information and it's working fine. From that, we only need to update or pass information to Firebase. Okay, so that is already set. We are half of the way there. But as I said, what if we want to handle a restriction which React form hooks doesn't handle that by default? So we will see that in the next video.